What is up, guys? Welcome to another live session. Today is September 19th, 2019, and we're on pretty much the last leg of the trading week. It's almost over, and it was a pretty news-filled yesterday. Today's had a similar story earlier in the day. Starting during London, we had the Bank of Japan press conference, then the Swissy monetary policy, and then all the way through we had pound in the morning. The bank rate obviously stayed the same. Right now they're looking more towards Brexit and whatnot. So we this was expected, and then we had Philly Fed manufacturing. So that came out better than expected. So we saw some USD strength, and we have entered gold shorts. Let's hope that plays out. The stop is pretty tight, like 48 pips. But if I do see the trade going south, I'll early I'll let us know and get us out. But it should play out. It's pretty pretty typical range trade. Unless gold wants to just play games and not follow the range today. And let's hope Trump doesn't tweet anything crazy either. So let's get into it. I'm just gonna talk to some of you guys on the chat. So last night, we got some more pips secured. Let's just quickly go over the trades. So Aussie CHF, a nice short. Yeah, pretty simple. The same concept as we've been discussing for since the start of these sessions. We had some nice support depicted by this horizontal array at 0.67911, and we had resistance right at 0.68228. So we can kind of think of it as making a triple top. So this is our 1, 2, 3, even like maybe even a quad top if that even exists. But multiple attempts at resistance, and what we were looking for is a break of this support, and more so where did we enter? I think we entered, I want to get the exact number from the signal. So we entered this at 0.67662. Okay, so yeah, right here. So right where our okay, that's good. So all we were waiting for is a break of this level, right? And for additive confluence, we wanted to close below the previous resistance at 0.67670. If you go to the daily time frame, you can see why that level is key. If we look to the left, it was a nice support before for the Aussie Swiss, and we had a nice break of that support. And if you look at the daily candle, it's very bearish. Hopefully this whole move plays out and we get some extra pips. But simple analysis, that brought around 38 pips, I believe. 36, 38, depending on your broker. But yeah, pretty decent. We have stops at entry right now. Currently we are retracing. Let's hopefully it doesn't get bounced at entry, because it is a nice trade setup. Hopefully it just continues down. Now it's a decent size retrace. We could be going lower. And then we had pound yen, which didn't play out all the way, but it still gave us around 28 pips, which is good enough for us. So which one of these pound? This chart, cool. So yeah, pound yen moves pretty aggressive, but similar story. I think I was looking at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, so for pound yen, again, it's training ranges. We look to the left, and we see that when price was ever above 134.622, we had pushes to these highs right here at 135 flat. So we had pushes to this high, push here, push here, push here, push here. Alternatively, when we had a closure below 134, 610, 600 area, we had a short opportunity to the bottom of the range at 134 flat. That was a basic idea behind this trade. And the additive influence for this trade was this trend line right here. We drew a trend line, and what happened earlier in the week was we broke out of it. We broke out of it, and we had the retrace. So we had the break of the trend line, the retrace, but we never really got that rejection we wanted. We actually came back within the trend line, and then finally we got that rejection. And so if we zoom in, when during I believe this was midnight my time, when we got the closure outside of this, inside this trading range below 134,600, that was influence for me to go short. And if we look at our entry, we got around 25 to 28 pips. And we moved stops to entry, and we got bounced at entry, which is fine. But just a heads up, if you're going to sleep and you get a signal, just go to take profit 1. If you have MetaTrader 4 on your computer, you can just do trailing stops. So that way, you don't have to micromanage your trade so much. But it could be gearing up for another short right now, to be honest. It's kind of created this resistance right around these highs right here. So I wouldn't be surprised if pound yen goes lower, just like this. Something like this for the intraday. Could be possible. It's kind of fluctuating between this range right here. If you look at the daily time frame, you can see it's closed pretty bearish. It's just in the recent days it's kind of been squeezed up. If the candle was down here, we have a perfect short opportunity, especially because on the weekly this trend line comes into play right here. But the weekly still looks bullish, so there is a strong possibility for pound yen to go to at least 137, and then to these highs right here at this trend line. It is printing a hammer off this previous support area, so be on the lookout for that. What we want is to catch the quick moves and get in and out, not necessarily scalping, but intradays. And so this is on the daily. You can see onto the left, this was the last set of highs that we made before we made that huge spill on the pound yen. Since then, we've come back to those highs. So for longs, if you're looking for longs for the pound yen, optimistic about the pound, 135,300 is the level to break. If we get a break above that level, closure maybe on the daily time frame, which we haven't done, in quite some time, since July. If we get that, we can have a nice long to 136,800. So nice 260, 250 pip trade that you can go long, because the daily is showing a lot of buyers. Just a lot of look at this bullish engulfing candle, bigger than the past 5 or so candles, and you have a lot of hammers coming off the support region. So I wouldn't be shocked if this does go higher. However, if this daily candle closes below 134,600, that shows me that sellers are still there, and we can have a short, possibly down to these lows right here. So we'll wait for the daily. It is Friday tomorrow, so there's no reason to kind of rush the issue. But that was the setup explained. For our short euro, it is probably gonna be a short. Again, the price action is so ugly. It's like these last 4 or 5 days, it's just been jam packed. And at the Fed rate, I thought we were gonna bounce up, but at the same time, we just bounced back down because Powell, he's a charmer. He definitely can instill confidence in the economy. And so what had happened was this was our Euro USD short, which actually led to our fall and take profit, but we were already stopped out of entry. Anyways, it's gearing up for another short. This is why you trade ranges, especially when markets consolidate. You can still bag pips. So if we're going to the hourly, you can see Euro USD came back to the same level, 110,700, and has fallen down to it's probably going to fall down to 110,300. So right around 40 pips for an intraday setup. it's basically consolidating, but on the daily time frame, you can tell that the descending channel we talked about is still intact, and so you have to respect the short bias. The only way we're looking for longs is if we look to the left. We had previous attempts to close outside the channel that was never met with any retest or any fruition. So that's what we're looking for euro. Nothing too enticing for even next week until we get maybe a break above the channel or a strong closure below this daily support we've created at 110,300. You can see we had a long wick here. We had multiple instances where we stayed above this level and just wicking to it. So that's our support for the euro right now on the daily, 110,300. So next week, if we get a close below 110,300, I would not be surprised if we finally go lower on the euro. Maybe at least to 109,300, and hopefully to make new lows for our descending channel. So that's our channel. Let me pan now. You can see price action. It should follow it, but this recent consolidation for the past 8 or so days has kind of stagnated that move down. Pound USD. So I think the pound's also gearing up for a short, depending on what happens over the next few hours. But again, compared to the pound yen, this bull run is this bull run has not been seen yet in the recent times for the pound. So it is looking like sentiment is shifting for the pound. Just again for the recent for this week, the 5 days of this week, we've just been consolidating between 124,200 and right to 125,000. So a 60 pip consolidation region for pound. So on the 4-hour, you can see this pretty disgusting price action. I don't mean it in a good way. We had a trend line break here. So on the small time frame, we probably had a closure outside, but we pound has snapped back. For a pound longs, it still hasn't been activated. We didn't get that vital closure above 125,000, which we need to go higher. To do that, we have a nice 50 pip intraday trade. We didn't get that. So right now it's looking like a short just because it's printing so many shooting stars off this resistance, and we do have this trend line that we're pretty close to breaking. It just depends on if we get that break and retest, because we did get a break yesterday. Actually, earlier today we had that break. But when we got that when we had that retest, we didn't get a rejection. So ultimately, we're looking for a break, a retest, rejection. And for those that are wondering what that is, it's basically a break. This is our trend line, right? This teal line. This red bearish candle was a break. That's our break. This green candle, when it comes back to touch the trend line, is a retest. Now, ideally, you usually want a red bearish candle as soon as it touches it to come out and reject the trend line. What we had was a retest that came back within the trend line, and since then it's kind of just stalled within this trend line. It hasn't moved up to continue the uptrend. It hasn't really moved down to continue the downtrend. So what we're looking for is the break, a retest, rejection. Alternatively, what you can do is look for a closure below 134,600. 124,600. It's a nice support for this consolidation range for these last couple of days. If we get a closure, that'd be pretty decent confluence to go short, because we'd have a break of the trend line, a break of this key support, and we could go lower. So it all depends what happens in the next few hours. If we could, the pound yen could easily respect this trend line and make a bounce and go higher, and the pound dollar. And if that happens, we'll just wait for the close above 12500 to go long. So pretty simple setups. Is just that it's Thursday, so we have to watch out what we enter. If we're looking at fundamentals for tomorrow, pretty quiet, and usually Fridays are have some major impacts. Other than the CAD, we have nothing else to worry about. So I wouldn't be hesitant to enter any USD trades. The dollar usually has fundamentals on Fridays, but I guess this time around we should be good to go. let's look at USD Yen and then CAD CHF, because we did look at that yesterday. So USD Yen, did I say there's a short yesterday? Maybe. Yeah, I guess there was a short. Similar instance with the USD Yen. Really no real setups were given yesterday, and I know a lot of people were getting faked out by this bullish candle. I saw a lot of ideas on TradingView saying a USD Yen 4-hour buy idea. This is not a buy. This is because of a news release, and so if you entered buy right here on this green bullish candle, you would have been stopped out immediately, depending on where your stop was. But if your stop loss is in a relative decent place, maybe below these lows right here, you would have got stopped out immediately. The reason being is you have to wait for the break and retest, or you can't really trade news impulsively. You gotta trade as a scalp, or more of like a buy stop or a sell stop. You know how I taught you guys, I spoke about many times. You can't really trade just because this is a bullish engulfing off resistance does not mean you go long. And on the daily, you can see this was a nice support / resistance region for the USD Yen. Let me pan out. You can see a pretty critical support here, resistance a few times, a critical support here. You look to the left, critical support here, critical support here, critical support here, critical support here. So you can see it's very key. It's a major level, and so an impulse move up to that level requires a break and retest on the smaller time frame, because the way this daily is closing, and if it closes, maybe if the bearish candle, if this bearish candle can close, somewhere down here, and not as a hammer, that'd be confluence to go short, and whoever went long is gonna get bit hard. I always say break and retest. If pound yen ended up going long, from here all the way to here, and you miss the trade, that's fine. I'd rather miss a trade than get in the trade and lose it. So, you can see on a smaller time frame, we had the initial news reaction right from the Fed. You had the retest with the bearish candles. You have to understand, we didn't get that rejection. We got to close back within range, back below the resistance we just broke, right? 108.141. We got to close back below that resistance we just broke. And since then, we have gone to fulfill that range, right at the bottom of the range, 107.843, and maybe even to 107.646. So that's the key right here. You have to wait for that break and retest. The patience in Forex is not close to any other market, in my opinion, because the volatility can give you a lot of false signals, and you can get bit really hard. Because imagine you've entered on this bullish engulfing. You would have had around 10-15 pips of profits before, boom, you would have got destroyed. So this is why when I trade news, I get that 10-15 pips profit from the impulsiveness of the news and get out. But yeah, in terms of setups, nothing really too enticing. The price action on news days are pretty ugly. We had this huge gap below here. We had multiple fake outs to go higher, and then we had multiple fake outs to go lower. So at this point, most people would expect it to go down to the bottom of this range, but somehow it found some strength to pop back up. I wouldn't trade it. I'd just let our gold trade play out, Aussie CHF play out, and any other trades you find on your own, you can enter them as well. Let's look at USD CAD. A similar story with the fake outs, but here for USD CAD, you would have got a better entry. So this is here's what I mean. So this was during the news release, this hourly candle, right? And let's say you listen to what RP says. Wait for that break and retest. So you had the retest, and you had the rejection right on this candle. So you enter, and if you have your stops somewhere down below here, and let's say we want to go up here. Cool. So you would have made around 18 pips on this news trade. Just because you waited for that break and retest. That's it. You would have made 18 pips. It's USD CAD, so it doesn't move as much per pip. But as a news trade, 18 pips is amazing. Just trading off impulsiveness. There's nothing else you can really say about trading news other than it takes practice. So do it on a demo. But yeah, in terms of setups for USD CAD, again, price action's pretty ugly. At one instance, it looked like it was going higher. Another instance, it closed back within our range, and our range is from 132.874 to around the support region, 132.450. So this big range is only 40-ish pips, and we're probably gonna go there right now by the end of the day. At that point, you can probably look for longs above, once we tap this area, because we've done it before here. Nothing too attractive. Before the session, I was looking at the charts, and the only thing that really showed me some clean price action, and when I mean clean, I'm being really respectful here, because the gold price action and anything against the dollar has been pretty ugly. So yeah, if you look at the daily, you can see it's a little messy, especially with this huge candle from the Saudi Arabia oil plant attack. But we're not gonna force the issue. The only real great setups we had in terms of the dollar that actually played out nicely was NSD USD and I believe Aussie USD. So hopefully you guys caught that. Let me show you. So last week we actually shorted the New Zealand dollar, and earlier in the week actually hit our full take profit. We can see this is a beautiful trade. Price is right now stalling at the bottom of our take profit region. You cannot make this up. So this was the only, I think this and the Aussie was the only clean dollar price action if you look over the past few days. But we could go lower. I mean, maybe even down to the support region for New Zealand dollar. I didn't close my position, and I didn't tell you guys to close it, but yeah, the reason being because it was such a nice setup. So yeah, we could go lower, maybe even to 0.629391. So another 70-ish pips, 80-ish pips we can grab. Looking at the hourly, maybe there's an entry for us. Zoom out. So on the hourly, what I want to look is at, we have created support, and support is, for those that are wondering, because a lot of you guys are new, support is basically a price point or a region of price where the pair has failed to go lower. So we had multiple instances where we've tapped around 0.63041, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and currently on the 5th attempt. That's our hourly support. If we look to the left, you can see this level has some confluence to it. So we had multiple attempts here, and when we did get that break, we did get a nice move down. So let's see if this move is even worth trading. So from 0.6300 to from 0.63000 to 0.62925. That is only 12 pips. I don't want to trade that. That's not worth our time to go for 12 pips. And as the New Zealand dollar, so it moves pretty slow, and the movement per pip is less than other pairs. For example, from here where we entered a short to here is only 100 pips. On some pairs, this is over 300. But for New Zealand dollar, I think the shorts will probably stall maybe here or definitely here at 0.62925. So it's not enticing to enter. But we also had a nice setup on Aussie dollar with some clean price action. So if we look, this was similar to the odd CHF trade we had. On the 4 hourly, you can see the break and retest is the bread and butter. So we look at our resistance here, okay, 0.68752, cool, and we have our hourly support right at 0.68593. So hourly support is places where price has rebounded from going lower. So we had the rebound here once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, perfect. So if you're looking for shorts, for the Aussie, a country that is cutting interest rates, that's not doing too well in the economy because their major trade partner, China, is in a trade war. You're looking for shorts. What do? You want a break of the support. Now, this break is pretty aggressive. Most people would not wait for the retest rejection, which I spoke of, which is fine. But when you do that, you have to make your stop considerably, large, and maybe above these recent highs here, just to get in on the trade. But if you don't wait for that retest, right, and your stops are just above this high. Let's say your take profits are somewhere down here. I mean, it's still a nice setup, don't get me wrong, but listen, you're going to have a very initial drawdown that's going to be substantial, right? Now, let's say you actually waited for that retest because you listened to what RP says. You had that break, that retest, right? So these green candles are retest. We have that rejection with this red bearish candle closing outside of the support again. And then you have a perfect short. And what Aussie USD did was, if you missed this rejection, let's say you were asleep, it came back up and retested this level again and rejected again, and that was your next confluence to go short. And since then it has dropped, quite some bit. So a nice price action. We were just not looking at Aussie dollar, but our chat's up and running. So from now on, you can send in your suggestions. But Aussie dollar could go lower. But that's today's session. Let's just see how gold's playing out. It's been a pretty weird pair of gold over these last few days. Oh, it is in profit. Nice, cool. And I believe we actually hit our first take profit. I think it was 497.60. Let me just check Telegram to make sure. Oh no, so our first take profit is 1497.33. So when we get there, make sure you move stops to entry. You actually can do it right now because we're actually in 30 pips profit. So we're at 1497.60. We entered at 1500.64, so we're right at 30 pips. So take some partials. You can even close out in profits right now if you want. Close all your profits if you want. I'm probably gonna move stops to entry and just let it play out. And this trade took me 2 minutes to analyze. I swear to God. Right before I went live, I checked gold and I'm like, oh, a nice intraday setup. Again, with the things with ranges, it's not always gonna fill the full range. So if we look to the left, for example, in this instance where my mouse is, we went from 1503 to the bottom of our range, 1492. Other instances from here, from when we entered in the range, we went to 1496. Other instances we went all the way. Some instances we went 80% of the way. All we want is to bag a nice amount of pips per session, around 30 pips per session. And if you capture that, you're gonna have a nice trading week, and you're gonna be your stops are always gonna be tight. So if we can get 30 pips on this gold trade, on top of the 60 or so we caught last night, from Aussie Yen and Pound, from Aussie Swiss and Pound Yen, that's great. So I think the way this trade is playing out, we might go lower. The next level is where we're at soon enough. If you look at the support, which we talked about, a lot of wicks at 0.9711. So that's how I determine my take profit levels, or previous areas of support and resistance. So it would not be it would not be a bad time to take profits now, move stops to entry, because we could rebound from this level. So it's another live session. I will see you guys all tomorrow. We'll do a weekly recap, and hopefully this plays out to its full extent. And Aussie Swiss as well. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Awesome. What's up, Jared? Yeah, hopefully it plays out all the way. It's looking like it. Drop for us. Let's go. Drop for us. We're money hungry this week. Okay, there we go. Gold. Okay, so if your take profit hasn't been hit, it should be hit now. Especially if you have larger spreads than normal. but hopefully gold just goes all the way down to 114.92, or at least 114.93, somewhere there. But yeah, a nice session. I think we covered a lot of stuff. Tomorrow will be just a recap and maybe some insight to next week. Again, tomorrow is a pretty quiet news day, so we'll have a nice opportunity to enter maybe some more trades later today. So I'm RP Forex. I'm logging off. Have a great trading day, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Peace.